Hi, I'm Martine Bernard.
And I'm Monty Haas, and this is Words That Cook,
Parenting with Children's Books. Hey Monty, what are you doing with all this stuff?
Well, Martine, I'm sifting through my box of old toys and comic books, looking for a little bit of inspiration.
If we expand on that idea a bit, I think we've got the theme for today's show, finding inspiration for writing. It looks like Monty's got plenty of objects here to spark some pretty creative ideas.
I think you're right, Martine. Look, I've got my old bear Smokey, some of my favorite old comic books, an old wooden clamp, and here's my old handy-dandy train whistle. Certainly enough to inspire my mind and my pen, but you know what's missing?
No, what?
I don't have any examples of my early writing. I wish I'd kept a journal when I was a kid, or at least had some of the writing I did when I was back in school.
You know, Monty, you could start keeping a journal now. It's never too late to start.
You know, Martine, that's very true. And do you know what else? It's never too early to start writing either. Wait until you see our very own Miriam Marichek with a class of kindergartners that she's been writing with at the Mattahunt School in Mattapan, Massachusetts, and how far they've come in just one school year.
Where is spring? Is spring hiding under the snowbank? Is it running down the slide? Is it hiding in the woods? I found it. A flower is here. Sharice, you're amazing, brave, beautiful, marvelous. You're my friend.
I love books. White books. I love thin books, big books, little books, all kinds of books. I love books.
Miriam, tell us where all of this started at the beginning of the year.
We started with their names because they didn't know any letters. So we started learning the letters of their names. And they came into kindergarten writing their name. The first name first, and that took about 2 months. Then they wrote their last name, and then now they're writing their initials. And they know everybody else's name. They sign in daily into class. So that gets them a lot of practice.
So you started them right on writing, right from the get-go.
Immediately, right from the beginning.
Now, most parents would kind of find that a bit of a surprise. Why isn't that a surprise?
Because most parents would teach them a letter at a time. But if your name has the letter like Juanita in it, you don't want to learn Q in May. You want to learn it today because it begins with a Q.
Okay.
So that's why we started with that.
All right, and where did that grow to?
Well, then they began to do what I call is mock writing. It's not really writing, but they write mock letters. It doesn't really mean anything.
Gotcha.
And soon they began to write things to me. We would write things interactively.
So you'd write something, they'd write something?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
It's like a tandem bicycle.
Right.
And what's exciting about that is parents can do that. So you
How
can
does that
say
work?
to the child, okay, Jonathan, you learned your name. And he would try J. See right here?
Yes.
And then he'd write Jonathan. And then I would write, you lost your teeth? And then I would say, okay, can you write lost? He said, I can write lost. And I would write his, and then he wrote tooth. And then I would write congratulations. So we're like
Nice.
writing interactively together. And that's a technique I want parents to use because it really helps them. You're not scolding them, you're not you're working with them. You're letting them be successful in what they know, and then you add what they might not know, what you do not expect them to know, but you dignify their product. And that's the key.
Hello, folks. Hey, folks.
Every parent we spoke to talked about this journal that you had them start right at the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about those.
I expected them to write every day.
But you didn't tell them what to write. That was fascinating.
At the beginning, we wrote about colors.
Okay.
I like red, I like orange, because that is the very beginning. But now I can't tell them what to write at all, because they write everything on their own.
We go to Connecticut.
Tell me about the book that you have in front of you, Angie.
This is the book that Dr. Marichek started in the beginning of the school year to keep up with the progress of the children's writing skills and reading skills. And in the beginning, it started out doing colors.
Right.
I like blue, and then they made blue things down here, different colors. And as you can see in the end,
Wow.
going in towards the middle, and as the end, they started writing sentences, as you see here.
Oh, yes.
It started turning into stories, and the pictures started
They're the
becoming
best.
more clear.
Right.
So, I mean, the progress here is great. I mean,
Wow.
it's wonderful. It's unbelievable.
This is a lot of growth in 1 year.
Yes,
In one
it's unbelievable.
Now, about in January, I started home journals, because at first I wanted to get this to grow on their own. And the home journals have just supported the writing we're doing in class so much that they're now writing like this. Last night, my mother and I baked chocolate chip cookies. I like to drink milk with them. And then she drew the cookies. And then I, during my lunch hour, write back in their journals.
Yum, yum.
Yum, yum.
She's been improving real great as far as writing. She does current events like happen around in her lifestyle. But she writes about things that happens every day. And as far as her printing, she prints well, very, very well. But now,
So you've seen that grow over a period of time.
Oh, definitely, especially since this September till now. Awesome. I mean, you think some adult have written a lot of things she wrote. And I love the way she put screamers next to everything.
Hey, tell me about the screamers.
Well, instead of just talking loud, she wants to scream it. And she put extra screamers.
That's fun.
It's like riding a bicycle, reading. Everything improves if you do it every day.
And starting young children, even 5 and 6 years old, at writing and writing sentences, as long as they're having fun with it.
As long as they're enjoying it
Yes.
and having fun with it. And they get the biggest charge when they run to you and they think, I left you a note in your pocketbook, or I left you a note under your pillow, or I left a note in the bathroom for you. Oh, they go crazy.
Miriam, thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
It looks like Monty's been keeping very busy. Monty, did you get the note I left around the story theme of the tropical island, sunset, trees blowing in the wind?
Yes, I did, Martine, but I thought I'd take the story into a new direction. You know, one with some action that lets me punch it up with exclamation points. You know, what the kids in Miriam Marichek's class call screamers.
I know, but wouldn't you want to stay with a more peaceful, calming theme of breezes and beaches and waves?
Right now,
and...
I'm into action-adventure comic books and serial adventures like I enjoyed when I was a kid.
That's great, Monty. You know, I just talked to Katie Lislow, a Wellesley College graduate who is into serial novels as a young person too. And because of that, something very special happened that turned her into a writer. Katie, who or what experience inspired you to write?
I started out by being an avid reader, and I read a lot of series books when I began to read on my own, and one of those was the Babysitters Club. And I would go to Walden Books at the beginning of each month, every day, you know, has the next one come yet? And they knew me by name. They always knew when I would show up. And then one time I was actually able to meet the author, Anna Martin, at a book signing. So I brought my favorite copies along, and I brought them to her, and I was kind of shy when I met her because it was one of my idols, and she asked me, well, do you like to read or do you also like to write? And I told her, I really want to be a writer like you. And I remember she told me, well, you know, you have to write every day if you want to be a writer. You have to keep a journal, and you just need to keep practicing every day, even if it's just a little bit. It doesn't have to be a story. And so I went away with that, and I did a lot of writing in elementary school, and from there on, just whenever my teachers would give creative writing assignments, I would take them, and most kids would write, you know, a page just to finish it, and I would make a series out of it. I'd write 5 pages. I'd want to type it out and do a mini binding of the book, and but I've always kept that with me, that this famous author gave me the advice to keep writing, and I do keep a journal every day, and I think that's really important just to get your style of vocalizing your thoughts down.
It's terrific that Katie has such a history with writing and journaling practice. It must be nice to be able to look back and reflect on your childhood that way.
I'm sure it is. I used to write every day when I was growing up, but then I lost everything in a fire.
Yes, I know. I'm sorry that happened.
That's okay, because I've decided to recreate my journals now. One of my best was about being an adventurer like Marco Polo.
Whoa, that's cool. I myself loved comic books when I was a kid, so I've decided to create a new superhero, Captain Screamer. Now, while you're busy writing about exploring the world, I'll be writing about saving it.
That sounds like a lot of fun, Monty. And speaking of fun, Luisa Bonillas and her daughter have loads of it with their journal writing.
Okay, this diary entry is from January 13, 1984, and it was a Friday, and it was during the winter season. It says, Dear Diary, today was Friday the 13th. Nothing bad happened to me, thank God. Tomorrow's Bettina's birthday. She invited me to her dancing party, but I'm not going.
I see that you and Ariana share a lot of your diaries together.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm glad I have a daughter. And it's fun. I'm glad that she came to journal writing on her own, because I never asked her to do it, and I thought that I would eventually.
Ariana, do you mind sharing what you do in your journals?
Sure. I had an idea when I was 6, I think, that I'd put different pictures in it, and I'd write some things, and then I put when I was little.
That's a very nice picture of your family.
And then I got this at Disney World, I think, and I didn't know what to write in it, so I thought, since it was a mini kind, I would pretend to talk to Minnie from the book.
So you have conversations. So it says here, do you mind if I see what it says? It says, oh, hi, Minnie. What's your name? My name is Ariana. Well, Ariana, you got the right book. I did, yes. We're going to have so much fun. Hey, Minnie, do you want to play tic-tac-toe? Yes. Oh, that's so nice. And you sign it, Ariana, and then Minnie. Oh, that is so sweet.
I have permission to read her journal, and I always ask because I know that it's a very personal thing, and I don't want to intrude. And so I ask, and it's wonderful to be able to read and just to know how she feels. And she's very honest in her journal, so it's good.
Hey, Martine, what you cooking?
Spaghetti. Do you know that legend has it that Marco Polo introduced spaghetti to Italy after his travels to China? And after all that journal writing about him, I am starving.
Well, you know, if your journal is so long, you could use this box as its cover.
Very funny, but actually, you know that's possible. I spent some time with Katie Frassinelli, and she can turn any object into a book.
I tend to like the blank books. I don't know, I think it's something to do with their potential. You know, there's always a story that can be written or something that can be put in them that is almost more fun than writing sometimes.
Yes, yes. And I think books do represent that potential to take us elsewhere. I am fascinated by this object.
Oh, this is one of my favorite ones. This I found in a junk shop in California was an old, bring it out here, an old film canister for a roll of, I guess, 16mm film. And I thought, well, that's a great opportunity with the little container. And of course, film was black and white, so I made 2 half books, one black and one white. Instead of binding tape, I used film. So this is the actual unexposed film that winds through there and creates the binding. And I thought somebody could write their favorite movies in there. I got a gift for Christmas from my uncle, a box of chocolates, and just thought that was the perfect size for a little book to fit inside. And so I made a little book out of similar paper. I was in an antique shop once and found a woman's purse. So I took that apart and put some handmade paper in and made a book out of that. So I always imagined someone going to a fancy party, but then they could stop and take some notes if they wanted to about who they saw. Another one was this compact. So it was a woman's compact with a powder puff inside, a little mirror, and it just looks like a book. So inside, I made a little book. When you have the basic concept of how to make a book, you can make a book out of anything. There really aren't any limits.
Beautiful.
And then sometimes I did this book. I got the text to Alice in Wonderland and then created a cover that seemed to fit the text. So this is a keyhole with a little rabbit wandering down.
And that's your own drawing?
No, this is actually from a vintage copy of Alice in Wonderland. So I took the drawing from that and then found some paper that fit the theme with the Queen of Hearts, and then inside is all the text. So sometimes it's fun to make a book that can actually be read.
Wow, Monty's really gotten into this comic book idea. So how are the adventures of Captain Screamer coming along?
I'm making progress.
That's terrific. But I have one question. Are these words real?
Sure they are, Martine. Arg, kabonk, zowie. They're action words that are just right for my comic book. Even if I don't know how to spell them, they look like they sound.
You're right about that. And the important thing is that Monty is getting his ideas down on paper, which is what Lori Joy and Honey, the cookie bookie bear, are doing right now.
Honey's been writing for her home journals using a lot of invented spelling, and that's okay. Invented spelling is an important stage of writing because children slow down and think about the relationship between sounds and words. Typically, children hear a word's consonant sounds, especially when they're the first and last sounds, like the B of bee. Good job. You'll always want to support what they get right. So it's best to let them put down the letters they can sound out, letting them show what they know. It can be all that's needed to communicate an idea. But if they ask for the conventional spelling, by all means help them along. Sometimes it just takes a hint, like a reminder of a familiar rhyming word. Did I know there was a bee in honey? I'm suspicious. Would that be the kind of a bee that goes bzzz, bzzz?
Martine, I'm wondering if you would help me.
I can certainly try.
Well, I want Captain Screamer flying through the sky, and I've got all these great action words, but I still need some more ideas about bringing the story together.
That shouldn't be too hard considering all the work you've already done.
You wouldn't think so, but it is.
Well, I recently sat down with Adrienne Ross and her daughter Emma. They're both writers, and they told me about some wonderful ways that they come up with ideas. You know, when I was writing my Explorer's Journal, I really felt like I was Marco Polo. So maybe you just need to become Captain Screamer.
I think I will. I'm Captain Screamer. Screamer. Screamer.
Where do you get your inspiration for your interplay, your literary interplay that you do?
Well, Emma and I play certain games, story-making games. If there's something we see as we're driving or walking together that we think would make a really good story, then we almost tell the story to each other. and ask each other questions along the way, what would happen next, or what would he do next, or is there another character that comes in? And we spend a lot of our time doing that.
I also just want to comment how she said that we can't play a game. Yes and no, it is a game, but we'll just be driving or we'll be walking or just we'll be talking about anything. And we'll just come up with this great inspiration. Sometimes it's the randomest stuff, but sometimes we'll just go, well, wouldn't that make an awesome story? Wouldn't that make a great movie script? And we kind of start with that one thing that we have. Maybe that would be like the ending, or that would be the beginning, and we just build up from it.
Right.
And a lot of times we don't write them down, but it's just wonderful because I remember all of them, and it's just great to think of them. It's just fun. It's a wonderful thing, and it's easy to develop plots and ideas from it.
What I enjoy about your relationship and what I enjoyed about your book, Adrienne, was that Emma, or young people, young women of her age group, are very validated.
I write children's novels, and I write for the age group that Emma is now, for like 11 to 12-year-olds. So what's really interesting is me being able to give something to her to see if that sounds natural to her, or would be something that happens in her world.
Another good thing is how she targets things. I can tell her how we look at things from perspective, but I can also see how she would think that we look at things from like our perspective. And I can kind of also incorporate, as I like edit her work, I can also see like what skills she's using and how she's using similes or metaphors, and I can start incorporating that into my poetry, or I can take something from her vocabulary and I can start adding to mine.
So I can only assume too, Adrienne, that because you're a writer, she was surrounded by books.
Right, yeah, and I think once we learned that Emma had an interest in poetry, then we would go to the library and take out different poetry books, and she became quite an avid reader of them.
I think that it's really important for kids to be around books, and not just even one from just one author, but a variety, because everyone has a different writing style. Like I like poetry. Maybe some even other people who do like poetry or who write poetry, they write all differently, different phrasing and different kind of rhythm to it. And it's important to see everything different so you have a variety. And you can also find how you can improve your writing or make it better. So
that's very true.
Now let's review the highlights of today's show. Dr. Mariam Marichek says, write together, taking turns. Start a home journal. And remember, writing improves with practice.
Like Katie Lislow, go to book signings and keep writing every day.
Like Luisa Bonillas and Ariana, look for journals when you travel. Share some of your writings with your children and try out different styles of journal writing.
Like Katie Frassinelli, learn to make mini books, invent your own book covers, and come up with interesting topics for journals.
Lori Joy says, support children's attempt at writing. Let them show you what they know. And remember, invented spelling is an important stage of writing.
Adrienne Ross and Emma suggest you turn surroundings into stories. Ask each other questions to develop plots. Talk about characters' perspectives. And read to compare different styles of writing. Now here's Mariam Marichek's recommended Words That Cook book list.
Brought to you by the Cookie Bookie Bears.
For 0 to 3, The Neighborhood Mother Goose by Nina Cruz. And Tommy's Three Bears and Other Tales by Tommy DePaula. For 3 to 6, Bunny Mail by Rosemary Wells. And Dear Mr. Blueberry by Simon James. For 6 to 9, The Day Eddie Met the Author by Louise Borden. Even More Parts by Ted Arnold. And Speak to Me by Karen English. And for 9 to 12, Heartbeat by Sharon Creech. in the Land of Words by Eloise Greenfield. And Sky Tree by Thomas Locker and Candace Christensen.
For a complete list of books, links, and other great ideas that will help make reading more fun for you and your kids, go to our website, wordsthatcook.org.
Now you've got some new ideas to play with, so go and have some fun with Words That Cook.
Parenting with children's books
in your kitchen.